Hi guys watching this video. Hi guys watching the stream. Check out the stream if you wanna. We're spectating this guy in Asia Grand Finals highlights. There's 30 seconds left until the actual show starts. So come on. I'm gonna. Oh, minion up. Nice. Reloads as SMG. Got the Galaxy wrap. I love that wrap. It's like the best wrap ever. He tries knocking him down. Nice. 20 seconds left. He is near some. Boxes up. Oh, and he gets her elimination. Oh no, he died. Okay. Here's minion up in the box. And I'm going to start the video. So yeah, see you in the next. Okay guys, watching the stream. Time's up, buddies.
What is going on, Fortnite fam? Welcome to the Fortnite Champion Series. After the heats yesterday, we find ourselves here at the summit, the Fortnite Champion Series Grand Finals. After today, one player in every region will be able to hold the Axe of Champions high. The hype is here. We are excited, and we cannot wait to get into things. If you're joining us at Party Royale, what's up, everybody? Thanks for having us. We're here to have a good time, watch some cool Fortnite action, and of course, don't forget to use your favorite emotes, throw the grenades around, purple, orange, whatever your favorite color is. We'll have a great time. With that being said, I'm your host, Zeke. Joining us here on the analyst desk, we got Shy Wager, we got Bala TW. Guys, I mean, the hype is so real right now.
I mean, I'm between hyped, excited, and every other amazing, awesome word because we've been watching along with these guys playing the FNCS solos for so many weeks, and right now, this weekend, today, it's the finale.
Yeah, I couldn't be more excited because grand finals for FNCS always means that we get some very, very exciting competitive Fortnite action, and we're going to bring the energy, we're going to bring the fire, and I know these players are too.
Oh man, of course, we are going to get into the show, but first, very quickly, do not forget, we are tuning into all things EU. We are going to take a break, and then later on, we'll be back to wrap up NA East on the day. With that being said, let's take a look at the format itself. Yesterday, we saw the heats break down 100 players, but only the top 25 advance, and now they find themselves here in the grand finals.
Yes, heats, these were happening yesterday. Now it's the 100 best players all the way from the thousands, hundreds of thousands that's played, 6 final matches, 1 FNCS champion per region, and this is the format that breaks everything down.
Much.
Yeah, if you're unfamiliar, you get placement, or you get points for placement, you get points for elimination. 14 points total for placing highest, for achieving that victory royale, and that will matter so much over all of everything, but you've got to find the balance. You've got to find some eliminations because that is kind of some guaranteed points every time you pick one up. And the placements, well, you gotta see how it is. It's very difficult to actually accrue these in a competitive game.
Right, man. 100 of the very best will clash and battle it out. Now, of course, what's on the line here? The Axe of Champions will be that trophy that they can take into game and let the others in the lobby recognize them as a champion, but also take a look at your prizing breakdown here. $80,000 for first place. And, of course, everyone that has made it this far will walk away with something, which is awesome to see. And, I mean, even if they were to place, say, last, you still have to recognize these are 100 of the best players in EU. Make sure to recognize them for their skill. Here is an overall breakdown of EU. $800,000 available there, and then NA East, which we will be back for later. And don't forget, we have other regions breaking down there as well, which we will take a look at in a moment. But real quick, guys, I gotta talk about something that's near and dear to my heart, and that's Batman. Genius comes in many forms. Whether you're dangerously funny, creating havoc with wild plants, or flooding the island with your best intentions, it often comes along with a companion, Madness. Become everyone's nemesis with the Last Laugh bundle featuring the Joker, Poison Ivy, Midas Rex, matching cosmetics, and 1,000 V-Bucks. You can pre-order the bundle through your favorite retailers, and it will be available on November 17th. So definitely check out the blog for all the details. And if you can't wait for more DC characters, Harley Quinn, Catwoman, and my personal favorite Batman will be back in the item shop for a limited time. Get their cosmetic sets before they disappear into the night. And of course, let's not forget Joyride has hit the game, and we will not be seeing vehicles in the competitive playlist, so just keep that in mind as we are watching. Now, guys, I did kind of touch on it just a moment ago. We do have those other regions that are facing off. We should probably check in with OCE and see how things are going.
Yeah, I think we should for sure, because the competition over there was a preview of everybody else. These guys got the first taste of the Grand Finals action, and if you watched last night, it was certainly nice. And we got to award our first Axe of Champions.
Yep, the axe was given out all the way towards the winner, and this man's going to be having that pickaxe to use towards the entire next season. It's going to be awesome to see. The winner of OCE overall was, of course, Jinx, RNG, Jinxie Fishy, and total points of 75, the Oceanic champion. What a run that he had above the rest.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. And this man was contested, too. For yours unfamiliar with what that means off spawn, when he dropped, there was somebody fighting him, which means that it's very difficult to do what he did. But 75 points. And something else to note about Jinx, this is a man of stature, somebody who has won the previous FNCS, so he was already holding on to that Axe of Champion. He gets to maintain going into this season.
Winners stay winning because as well, from second place all the way down to 10th, very familiar names. Refulse, Asfit, Rax, Worthy all the way up to second, Zore, Leia, Moose, Link at 7th, and then Fresh at 6th, who was playing so phenomenally over during the day. Had some help as well from chat, as well as Arab coaching him throughout the entire process. Past that, too, on the second place of Oceania, 11th down to 20th place. It is the same names we keep seeing, but look how close it was overall. Look at the prize money these guys got broken down. 40 points down to 36. Mountain holding 11th. RBK, I don't know, which is Volks holding down all the way to the 20th slot.
Such a close competition, and this is going to be a nice identifier here as we get ready for EU. I mean, watch these point thresholds. Look at how close that is. We will more than likely see this in EU unless someone decides to break away. With that being said, though, Asia also has a champion. Fram #1 holding down that #1 spot, 47 points. No victorials, but 11 elimination and an average placement of 25th. That in itself is a statement to be made, and now he will hold the Axe of Champions high.
But it was so close, Zeke. Look at the eliminations, 11 for him over 6 games. That is slightly under 2 elims. And you know what? It counts. Everything matters. Tiebreakers certainly do in this case. 3 people tied for points at first place. That is ridiculous. Unheard of. Haruhiko coming in second, and Peter Pan. Unfortunately, these guys fell with the tiebreaker of eliminations. Fram will win the Asia region.
Still, another tiebreaker back-to-back, 44 points, 4 ways through, from 3rd all the way down to 7th place. That is insane to see. Still, that story continues on the second page. Asia was so close, so competitive. And as you mentioned, Bala, every elimination did indeed matter. Once again, Rizart down to Riru from 11th to 13th place. They were tied. You go all the way down to 18th to 20th. Wildhawk, Bob, these guys were tied too, and it was their individual performance every game that stood out. So remember, every single game we watched today, every single play matters the most.
That's right, man. And this is something we're going to talk about for the whole time, right? Is every interaction matters. Every time 2 people square up, one of them will be eliminated, while the other is allowed to continue moving and continue earning those points, while the other that lost has to wait. They have to reset and come back into the game with a fresh mindset and hope to earn more points.
And these guys have been doing it all weekend long since Friday. They've been playing in these difficult games, and for some of them, they're done. They've already played it through, but for others, regions that we're looking forward to, EU up next, and these guys have such a competitive field. Look at the first list of qualified players, and that is just 1/5.
And they've gone through so many different hurdles. We had 4 heats in total, top 25s qualifying from each and every one, down to the final 100 players. These guys are at the top of their game, and they're going to be playing against other people who are used to winning. On this page alone, I'm looking at Scouts, Kezix, Seventor, Mongrel, big, insane, legendary names looking to get another title under their belts.
Reason was on that page too, the player who won Heat 4 against people like Letwick. Flois came out of Heat 1 with a dominant performance. We're going to be looking at him to see if he can maintain a good start out of the early game. Tayson, who had the first start in Heat 2 with the back-to-back victory royales, and we've talked about the format, how much that matters. His lead was almost insurmountable after only 2 games.
And whether you're watching in-game in Party Royale or anywhere online, just pick a name over here, follow it through, Find a new favorite player and follow your favorite old ones too, like Lecce, like Fastroki, xWeez2, who's an insane winner, winning back-to-back games through all stages of the competition. These guys are about to play some of the hardest games of their lives and are going to give us some of the best Fortnite we have ever watched.
And yesterday was literally like a little taste of that, right? And we've seen these pockets of people already setting their eyes on grand finals. Today will bring some of the best Fortnite we've ever seen. I mean, there's no way of knowing. Will someone break away and hold off strong? Will people go head-to-head and kind of pull each other back? And at the very end, someone will cross the finish line. No way of knowing, guys. This will all unfold before our very eyes.
Yeah, I mean, Zeke usually asks me the question, who do you think is going to win? I'm going to answer before you get to ask any one of these 100 players because they all deserve it, 100%, all the way up to this point. I'm serious. It's anyone's game. Every single person on all those pages for Europe are so good.
And I want to add one thing to that, too, because it might be anybody's game, but also think about the fact that one player after all of this, out of 100, is going to be walking away the winner, the champion. That is just mind-blowing to me.
Yesterday, we got to see the top 25 move on, and we thought about which 75 would fall. Now it's the 99 that will not make the cut. With that being said, though, let's take a look at a replay that has led us to this point.
Yeah. Booty cheek.
If you haven't joined us on the broadcast just yet, there was 4 heats to play through, and each of those had 100 players. Top 25 moved on from every single one of them. We're watching the winner of heat number 1, and we're highlighting him because he won in a surprising fashion, coming out from behind and dueling a lot of other top players, and he did it with style, winning a game with something like 5 eliminations and then taking the lead from there and being consistent all the way through. That's why Advise is certainly somebody to pay attention to.
Yeah, the name to remember is Wave Advise, especially anyone.
Booty.
Names, but just look at the way he broke down every game. It wasn't something under control for him at all times. It was always back against the wall, but always found a way through to win every single time.
And he was dueling against players like Clement, who are going to be here today. But moving on into Heat 2, if you missed that one, this was electric. This was fantastic. We already talked about Tayson's back-to-back, but he did it again with style, too. That's why we have to keep an eye on him going into this. And there's some interesting things about him. We saw a sneak peek about that landing spot, and that's where our previous FNCS Invitational Solos champion came from. His duo partner, Janice.
And Janice is playing today too, so these guys will have to face off against each other at the same drop spot in the same end game, and it's unpredictable as to what will actually end up breaking down.
There's another player too in that heat. It was Kinzel. They ended up dueling. Also somebody who came out of Steamy Stack, so we'll have to keep that in mind. But moving into Heat 3, this is something that caught a lot of people by surprise. Why? Because xWeez, while he has been pretty consistent overall, his placements in FNCS and other tournaments like that, nobody expected what he did throughout the qualifiers. Nobody expected a second place on day 3, into a first place on day 4, into a first place in the heat yesterday.
The most surprising performance by far, absolutely, and the most impressive in style. xWeez always puts himself into positions where he can show his flair, show his aim, and give us a good insight to what shots he likes to take. All these shots always culminate to a win. Just look how fast he is past edits, landing the bullets that he needs to land to be able to get eliminations and then win games close range, 4 people back to back, and he did this in multiple games.
And that's not all. While xWeez might have dominated his heats, there's still one more. To find the last 25 players, we had to go through one of the most difficult ones overall. There was players like Mongrel in the next heat. There was players like Reason, and those two have been going back-to-back against each other for quite some time, starting from the day 1 3 weeks ago. But Reason showed up again, and even though they dueled and took first and second in this heat, Reason seemed to come out far and ahead, the champion of that heat. And for one reason, I think, no pun intended, the Holly Hedges uncontested drop spot.
Yeah, with no one fighting you down early game, you have a huge advantage on playing the rest of your game out, going for positions, going for wins. That being said, though, Reason and Mongrel are going to be able to battle it out once again here today in these grand finals, and it's the final round for these guys to wrap up their story.
And the important thing to note from Reason, he did win back-to-back in Heat number 4 yesterday against players like Latwick, who had even Kit Shockwave Launcher to try to put him down. He does not care and will go for the biggest streak of 2 back-to-back games in terms of eliminations and wins. So that total amount of points, ridiculous from Reason. We'll have to see if he's in form today.
Tweets, OCCs.
That's the biggest question across the board, right? Who is in form? A lot of these players, they already know the field. They've already scouted each other out, and just like we've done our research, they have too. Now the question is, who will hold strong and who will walk away the champion? With that being said, guys, it is time to get into the first game of the day here in EU. So let's get ready to toss it over to our casters. We've got Clay Staling and Sundown to take us through all the action. Gentlemen, over to you.
And boom.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Jonesies, Bonesies, he's, she's, theys, and thems, welcome to the first game of the FNCS Grand Finals in EU. And I hope you got your popcorn ready, whether it's literally or the emote in Party Royale, because this game is about to be a blast.
I am ready for seeing all the action unfold. I hope everybody's got their favorite emote out, whether it be take a seat, whether they're with their glow sticks out raving. I'm ready. I know you're ready, Sundown. It's going to be amazing.
Enough from us. Let's take us into game number 1. The analyst desk set it up so well. Shout outs to Zeke, Bala, and Showager. But now we're into match number 1. This is it. 6 games to decide who will walk away with that Axe of Champions. Who will be the
guys,
top
I'll be back in
player
a second.
and arguably
You guys
the
can
most
watch it,
competitive
right?
region in Fortnite. It
Look
does
at
have the
that,
most
though. Look how many
participants, and
people
there's
there.
$800,000 up for grabs here. And here's the initial drop spot.
And it looks like everyone's sticking true to where they planned on dropping. We have 3 players in Steamy. We've got, I think, only 1 or 2 players there in Caddy Corner, the 4 in Lazy Lake that we've seen time and time and again from Europe. And of course, we've got Rezon and Holly Hedges, and it seems like he may be alone.
And one of the best comments I think I saw coming out is, wow, everyone is really scared of Rezon. And if you look at some of those early game drop spots, both in heats and I'm assuming now in the grand finals, everyone stays really far away from him. And you can see that in the bottom right-hand corner on the map. Not a single triangle remotely close to him representing another player. That's because he's done such a good job over the course of the entirety of this tournament to stake out the claim, and then also getting a nice little elite chest right there, granting him the legendary burst AR, and he's set to go now. He can begin his rotation and head to center zone. He has those 6 crash pads, which we've seen him execute on so well, and he's basically set to now just farm the materials he needs and transition into the mid game. However, we've seen him go aggressive time and time again with this similar loadout, as now we swing on over.
And you saw how careful he was being. He wasn't taking a chance looting that chest. He didn't want anything to go wrong in game number 1, because that sets the pace of your games going forward. Whether you get out to a head start or whether you get to climb your way back from an unfortunate off-spawn elimination. However, Hen, on the other side of it, does have players nearby. Loadout not as great as what we just saw on Rezon, but someone that also did very well in the qualifiers. Came out, I believe, we got a 2nd place there in one of the days. He's got that Cyber Rivals territory, and he's looking. He's peppered up. He's looking for elimination. I think he's going to catch his play off guard. Snipe's going to come through. He's going to wait, and he does. Ardent's going to go down. Elimination comes over for him.
Brilliantly done there by Hen to set up that ambush on the side. We've talked about it time and time again, how you need to be careful, but in the early game in particular, it's so hard to really know where your opponents are, keeping track of them. If somebody does get that first shot down and you're not able to react, it can be game ending. And going out there in 96, it's so hard. A 0-point game, and now you have to sit back and watch everyone else have fun while you're sitting there waiting for the next game. As now we hop on board, and Candy, who's going to be in the exact same situation as Milan, turns that one around. And someone who's really been playing a lot better as of late, Clay.
He has indeed. I believe we have 2 Milans here in this grand final. So got a Lost Milan and Normal Milan, but both of them have been playing very, very well. They've consistently been making it into that top 25. It seems like almost every single qualifier. So it's really good to see consistency being rewarded, especially with the way the format is. The format rewards those high placing high, consistent games. So if you're able to get to top 15, top 25, top 10 every single game, you're going to start to make your way to the top of the leaderboard.
And that's what the goal is for the end. We talked about so much yesterday how it's, hey, top 25 is all that matters. Well, here, everyone wants to be number one. You have to walk away with that top spot. It's a solos competition if you want the grand prize in the Axe of Champions and all the clout that comes with saying, hey, I am the best player in my region after the weeks of qualifiers and then coming down to this. And Mr. X, who had a beautiful run yesterday to even get him here. The miracle back-to-back-to-back eliminations, but now under pressure from Rifle, going to get in directly on top of him, but sticking straight to the AR spray. He didn't have a shotgun. That's what we talk about. Those early game fights, he just had the assault rifle and the SMG, opting to stick with the AR, and I think that might have been the wrong call, as the SMG could have offered him slightly more damage in that situation, but Rifle comes through and punishes it.
And it was such a close call. That Siphon was just the difference maker once that elimination came through. You see now on another engagement, it's between Wolfies and Maestro. Maestro running off this side on the front foot. The pedal is down. Maestro wants to just continue to push down. Shots go through. He's going to break through the wall. And Wolfies is going to go down.
That was a huge pickup there from Maestro Wolfies, who was the second place finisher in the duos of the World Cup. We've seen him play so aggressively, the young player from the UK, but when he's put on the back foot, it can be a little bit challenging there. Maestro did come through, got dropped down to 48 HP, but don't forget, in arena and tournament settings, there is that siphon enabled. That means when you eliminate an opponent, you will get either 50 HP or 50 shield back, depending on which one you end up needing. It prioritizes health first, and then they will also drop all of their materials, all of their loot, and an additional 150 materials, so an extra 15 builds that you can go over and sweep up. That ends up being really key, particularly in the mid and the late game now, as I'm on board here with a Ventex who takes 2 really big shots and is put on the back foot.
He is, but luckily enough for him, Crash does not have any shield pop. Now, it's not going to be as good as he is going to be finding time to get those minis in that big shield pop. And Intel over there needs to find an aggressive push into the box. It needs to catch him off guard. If Ventex is not able to get this medkit off, this does not look well for them. But it seems like the medkit will be popped, so he does get back to fighting HP. Under 50 HP is enough to withstand some shots. As Crash is now on the back foot, that's exactly what he needed to do. He needed to turn that defense that he was waiting on into that offensive moment. And now Krez is in a very bad situation. 6 builds remaining. No HP to really work with. He's going to have to hit a really big charge shot there. Dana coming through. Not going to connect on these shots. He goes to the box, but Krez hits the shot, and that's another elimination for him.
And you talked about it. He needed to hit that big charge shot, holding it up and punishing the player, and particularly when you see 2 players box to box fighting with charged shotguns, it's really difficult if you're not able to get that finishing blow right away, like No Luck Nebby does there, finding Kira to close out the fight, because you can have—
Oh, Nebby, what? Don't even forget my point there. Nebby showing the power of the hunting rifle, showing up, catching 2 players on the outside. However,
look in the bottom right-hand corner. A 3rd player is now rotating by. So can Nebby get all of these resources and get out without getting engaged on? But those are 2 monstrous shots. He's got to feel confident there, and definitely not living up to his name. Plenty of luck going on.
And you took the words from my mouth. Nebby with
keep on
some
thinking the people
amazing
grappling onto
aims
his
there,
actual
just
person.
getting what he needed to get started. However, someone who is not having amazing luck is Janice right now. 134 effective HP. He's fought either off spawn on rotation. Now he is going into the orchard, which does allow these campfires and the apples that drop that give you 5 HP per consume. He's going to be in a good spot. He's able to really farm up. But Janice drops Steamy stacks, and look at his metal count. It was only 97. A man of Steamy with only 97 metal is not what he's used to, and this is definitely impacting his gameplay.
Yeah, and it's going to be tough there. Also, tons of players will know where he is, stoking that campfire, putting off the smoke signal. You can see him, those apples dropping, but instead opting to burn the extra wood. Good trade-off there and good awareness of where he was on the map. However, you do see Spen is lurking and trying to catch out the FNCS Invitational winner here. Janus over on the side, and he does get some real quick. That's the problem. Again, we talk about it, the hunting rifle on the side. If you're not ready for it, it can be a game ender right there. You get caught out farming. And honestly, I think that's a little bit on Janus there. You don't want to be on the edge of the zone and caught gaining materials. Like, yes, you did just get in. You can feel safe. You're back up at that 100 health, 100 shield threshold, but you have to know other players are rotating from that side and going to be behind you, and Sven is actually going to get harassed there as he tries to rotate out. We're going to hop on over to a three-way fight going on over here.
Oh, and now already down to just 2 players. Controller getting into the boxes and getting the shots, cleaning up 2 eliminations back to back. Flecken gonna fall there, and these are what you need to do in solos. You need to get into the box and you need to finish the eliminations quickly, because like we saw, if you come and you fight and you box fight and you build fight, and more people are gonna come and they're gonna realize that, and you are going to fall. So very good play there from Controller.
And so far, it's been the story of the third party. You hear players talk about it all the time, whether it's your friend or your favorite streamer. That third party is the extra player who comes in. So if you're taking a 1v1 and then somebody else rotating by says, oh, you guys are preoccupied. First, we saw Nebby picking up the 2 shots there, then Controller closing it out with that epic tactical shotgun. Going to be on board here with Ovation Orion. We've seen him pull off a number of plays, but again, really good at kind of those ambush-style tactics, as you can see here, trying to set up a little bit on this player who's rotating in front of him. You can see the map in the bottom right-hand corner. That is the next storm zone revealed, so you can see we're pulling a little bit central. We're just kind of south of the authority, or just over the authority. There's a little bit of a southwestern side there, so most of the players will have time. The Slurpy Swamp players will have tons of priority, and Storm Surge has just turned on, which is something you might not be familiar with if you're watching there. So Storm Surge is actually on in every game, but is only activated when you're above a certain number of players left. That number of players for the third zone is 70, so with 83 players currently left, 13 will be impacted. What it does is those who haven't done enough damage to the opposing players will then take 25 damage every 10 seconds. It's to try and encourage a little bit of active play, which we see here from Orion taking out Queasy, who's going to be queasy about that, just being game ended right there before the rotation occurs, not picking up any points in that match.
And what a smart play. He went in different angles and didn't just crash pad off the top, because he knew Queasy would have been expecting that, and found an angle, got in the box, got the elimination. That also, with Storm Surge, it causes people to make plays like that. Arion may have decided that, you know what, a couple tags were good, I'm good to go, move on. He's put him pretty high up in the Storm Surge, but he didn't want to take the chance. He wanted to make sure he was above at least 100 damage on the threshold. So he decided, I got to go in, I got to get in the box, because when Storm Surge starts hitting you, nobody's going to let you shoot them. No one's going to let you even look at them. They're going to be sitting in their boxes. They're going to sit there and wait, and not even open windows, not even make any movements, because they know, hey, that guy's getting hit by a big purple lightning bolt. We can't attack him. Is well, all of a sudden Phoenix is actually going in, but maybe a little bit of a misplay, he gets eliminated.
Gets punished right away, and Tigwe has everything you could possibly want for a box fight there. I mean, just look at the loadout, having the epic tactical shotgun, the epic burst AR, crash pads, plenty of shields. So Phoenix might have felt a little pressure to go in and create some space, but Tigwe punishing very succinctly there, as now we swing on board. Milan, Seventor, Kiko, and Anas all directly on top of each other. You become legends. Anas has played incredibly well. Clement also joining in on the party, and this is what we talk about, that Storm Surge. All the players who below, Anas being one of them, are going to be forced to find tags. That damage is going to start coming through. He's going to need to convert on it, and he converts brilliantly there, picking up Supremacy's Clement in #1 elimination, and also closing in on that first placement threshold, Clay.
It was such a beautiful play by Anas, because he knew Clement had that bush. He said, you know what, he's going to go for the pickaxe. I'm just going to go ahead and edit that wall out so he can get the initial shot, and that got him the elimination. That initial shot there gave him the damage just to follow up with another tack shot. And with that rare tactical shotgun, it does a lot of damage if you're able to hit all the pellets, and that's exactly what he did. Now on his way, he got the pepper placement threshold, just came through as well, and now he's moving in. He's got a very great loadout to secure himself a very good placement here, and we know Anas is very, very capable, like you talked about, and he's already stalking another player. He's looking to take down AX Controller.
Yeah, and that's Controller 007 from the FNCS Invitational. We saw him have a number of really solid performances. Still needs 3 players to go down from that Storm Surge special, but Anas just trying to kind of follow in this rotation path, get as close to center of zone. So if you're kind of new to watching competitive Fortnite, joining for the first time in Party Royale or Twitch or YouTube or Twitter or watchfortnite.com, what do you care about as you're watching this game as Anas will take it down, or what are you looking for? Mongrel and Thomas HD also picking up eliminations to put us below the Storm Surge threshold. The first thing is whether or not people are picking up eliminations. You can see that to the right of the player's name that's right next to kind of the little mark there. And that will represent 1 point every single time as they go through. Additionally, you're worried about them picking up placement points. In this format, the first one occurs after 25 players have gone down, then the next one occurs after 50 players have gone down, then it's every 10 and 5 players. So when somebody ends up falling in 41st or 31st or 26th, that's a huge changeover. But now, during the middle part of the game, as everyone's rotating through, what they're looking to do is establish space for themselves, make sure they're safe, and then find tags so they're not threatened by that storm surge that we were talking about ahead of time. As now we hop on board here with MCS like Squeezy, who has placed top 25 in 78% of his games this FNCS, best in the EU, and that's something to contrast with the fact that he also plays really aggressive in the early and the mid game. If he gets caught out and he's able to convert, he's had some of the highest elimination totals throughout the entirety of the FNCS club.
And I was going to say, I'm surprised he's not going into this player's box that's literally just fishing in front of them. Someone else tried it, and he's waiting. You can tell he wants to get into this box. As soon as he sees that player start to make moves into the other box, or maybe he finds out exactly where they are, he wants to go in. But he's got Letwick right above him, so you can tell he's being a little bit more cautious this time around. In the heat and the qualifiers, he knew he had a little bit of leeway after that great performance that he had. He was able to play a little bit more aggressive and still get top 25, which is insanely impressive. Now, the biggest impact of the game right now is going to be this Kit Shockwave launcher in Thomas HD's inventory. He's already got the elimination because of it. He's also already near the next zone. He doesn't have to rotate very far, which is really good for him because he only has 94 material.
He only has 94 materials, and he's right by the priority on high zone. This is the 4th zone, which means it's the last safe zone that's completely inside the current safe zone. After that, the 5th one will be the half in, half out, which kind of signals the transition into the end game as Thomas helps end Sebi's game there. He's going to be sent back and have to queue up after that, and Thomas hits him with a favorite emote. Hey, if you got that emote and you're in Party Royale, mimic it right now. Let Thomas know you're with him and sending him the aid, because he has a really good shot to ride this game out with
I have the emote. I have the actual emote.
Zone, you don't want to head super central. So all of a sudden, if that half in, half out zone pulls to the south and is on this high ground, and he has all the shockwave launcher plus a launch pad plus the mythic charge shotgun, it's going to be really difficult to force him out of a priority position. He's going to be somebody to watch over the course of this game who's going to impact the other players around him.
And he's already doing that just with his AR. He impacted Sebi. He's going to take down passive. And this is very, very good for him because he doesn't have to go too aggressive to get these eliminations. They're kind of being handed to him here as he's just taking a grasp of his surroundings, looking at every possible angle and getting eliminations. And speaking of that, Mr. Savage going to pick up an elimination there onto Verstroki.
Yeah, and you can see that action kind of being driven as players are forced to rotate in and start to get priority position, because it's not only just about being safe here, it's about establishing yourself for the next rotation, because that half in, half out is so important in terms of priority. But right now, Reason is 5 below the damage threshold. So once this zone clears, he'll start ticking. You want to keep an eye on the top left and then the bottom right-hand corner. That number will need to drop down to 50 players before Storm Surge turns off. And if anybody we're watching is below the threshold, they'll start taking that 25 damage every 10 seconds. And Reason just able to get himself above it with a nice tag there, and he's starting to get aggressive. We talk about the utility of the crash pads. We saw it in the package beforehand, and Ball and Child talked about how good he can be aggressive on the low ground, and he gets Heatsy there, which is a huge elimination as well, because he pulled that half in, half out zone we talked about. Everyone who banked on it being up on the high ground saying, hey, if it pulls up here, I can win the game. Well, they were wrong. It pulled away from them, and they'll be the ones who have to rotate as we hit top 50, meaning Storm Surge turns off, second round of placement points goes through, and everyone is going to be rotating.
And you saw Savage just waiting with that edit open. He was looking for any possible angle to pick up an elimination. Lois as well. He's kind of fashioned himself a little bit of a base here that's got these pyramids edited in a nice way so we can see down on players rotating. And this is where you want to be. If you do pull half in, half out, you want to be looking for players. You don't want to be exposed, because obviously that you could get sniped like Flois might do here. Some people, Mongrel picks up an elimination as well, so he's still here in this game and still fighting as well. As Lois is trying to snipe somebody out of the sky and was not able to hit it, but a valiant effort.
Valiant effort, but just a little wide. Might have given him a haircut, but not going to connect. No Storm Surge tags in play there as we see Kami pick up a huge Elim. Flows trying to get involved here, finds the first attack shot, gets the second onto Vadil, who had picked up Savage. So Savage, again, going down early, only picking up an Elim and the 2 placement thresholds. 3 points for him there. As we continue through, you can see Flois and Scribs still in. Helix as well. Skite, one of the now veterans, and they call them boomers in the lobby. 3 players in EU are 20 years old, and that is the oldest players who are in the match. But Skite has been around and qualified for nearly every one of these finals. But we're hopping on board here with Quartz Froggy, who had an absurd, just absolutely gross run in heat number 2 to qualify himself. Pushed himself, I believe it was like, I think it was like 19 or 20 points in the final game to get here, but so far quiet on the day. No eliminations, but a decent loadout as we now transition into those fully moving zones, which means all the safe zones are outside, completely away from the current one, and everyone is going to have to move if they want to avoid that storm damage.
And luckily for him, it seems like it's pulling towards him, so he doesn't have to invest those crash pads right away. He can look for eliminations, as you see sitting in the code, allows him that opportunity to find these rotations as well. You see just bouncing away through the crash pads, doesn't have to worry about it. Squeeze is going to fall there in the feed. That's an important one to note there, because we talked about it, we hyped him up, falling down before that 40th placement threshold as well. He's not going to end on a lot of points. The question is, how many points can Froggy end up on? How many points can the rest of the lobby end up on as this game continues to go on? We see Kiriachi, we see Mongrel, we see Letwick there in your screen as well. And Froggy looks to have taken high ground with that. The shots go through. He's going to get that player down to low HP. It's Cammy going down. What a huge pickup there by Froggy, but he's not done yet. There's another player on the other side. So he does disengage, so he does have mats to build around with and to just drop down layers if he wants to. It seems he's content on focusing around high ground.
Yeah, and Benji and Hen also picking up a pair of Elims there in the feed as we close in on the next placement threshold. It'll be top 30, and then every 5 players going down. Storm Surge will also turn off his top 30, and we're closing in on it. There it is. Scouts picking up a pair to make sure he gets there. That's Adian and Diablo, who we saw yesterday going down. Thomas also goes down, and then Become Legends Rifle picks up Benji Fishy. Deceptos ends up getting Skite as well going down there. Lecce picking up Styler, but we're still on board here with Quartz Froggy, and we saw how much work he can do on the mid-ground tarp here, and he's continuing to run through with that charge shotgun, picks up Scouts as well, and we're in through another placement threshold. So this is what happens as we start getting in the moving circles. All the action for us, so keep an eye. Flois all the way up on the high ground. Kiko has priority on the low ground, and then everyone else is the tarp in between. But Hen and Reason are still up on the mid-tarp.
I think Flois was able to pick up that shockwave launcher from what it looked like. He may have used the crash pad to take it, but Mongrel, I believe, going to fall there on the backside. Reason until this game. Eliminations hit. Thing on 4. Crash pad will come out here for him. He does have a lot of materials left. Carrot picking up 3 eliminations there on the backside. As shots come through onto hit, he is going to be able to block it off. And the capitalization there on the Stacey will be good as he realized already losing HP. Kensel going to take down a player there as well. Anas going to fall. Lois does have what it seems like a crash pad to maintain high ground, but Bad Sniper coming up. Decepto's coming up as well. Everybody is coming up for high ground. Rezon just trying to make it through.
And everyone pushing for the high ground right now, but not necessarily paying attention to what's going down the low ground where people are cleaning up on eliminations. You have Flois in your top right, Froggy in your bottom right, everyone else on the wide. You can see Flois is up on that ultimate high ground. Deceptos in hand down on that low ground with Rezon just above them. Froggy waiting for his opportunity, but keep an eye on the number of builds because we're getting down to the final one. Flois going to pick up an elimination there, and he's doing a really good job at just maintaining that high ground control as we're closing in on our top 5. One more player will go down, and then it's all about getting to the top 3. Boom, we have it. Letwick, Bad Sniper, Froggy, Hen, and Flois, top 5 in game number 1.
And Flois looking to close it out 4 eliminations, but Froggy down below, you cannot count him out yet. He is right there. If he takes down Flois from below, that'll be so huge for him because he will get that shockwave launcher, get that mat refresh. Letwick's very, very low. More than likely going to be edited down. The shots come through, but no, Flois going to be one to take him down. Froggy gets down hid. In the meantime, 1v1, Froggy versus Flois. The shockwave launcher up above. Froggy trying to dodge him. Flois sending him down. He's trying to, but he's running out of mats. 15 mils remaining, and Froggy does not look like he's stopping anytime soon. Going out in the zone, taking some damage, going to shockwave himself down. Little Mitro classic Shotgun does come through. The Shockwave is going to send them flying. Shots come through. Flowis is going to get the beam, and he takes down Froggy for the victory royale.
Really, really good job from Flowis executing on the top-down push with the mythic weaponry, but more importantly, showing the versatility of that Shockwave launcher, launching himself down and then finding a gap to launch the opponent out, tracking him, and picking it up with the AR. Match number 1 is done. Fury Flowis taking home the victory royale, but we'll see where the leaderboard shakes out. We're going to toss it back on over to Zeke, Shio, and Bala.
Man, a strong start here in EU, really coming out with a nice flow. Flowis finding himself the victory royale. Guys, this final fight between Froggy and Flowis, both players walk into that 1v1 with 5 eliminations. The Elim and the victory royale is going to be that 4-point swing. This is gonna be a good tone setting for the rest of the competition.
We saw it in every region, right? 1 point matters, and that's a 4-point difference for that win and the Elim. The coolest thing, though, to me was the versatility for Flowis and how he was playing every single engagement differently and using his entire kit to be able to hold first overall in Europe right now. 6 eliminations, 20 points, and that victory royale.
Yeah, but there's also other people lurking near too, and with only the first game, don't forget there's 6. People are starting to establish themselves. I see Hen in 3rd place right now with 15 points, a sign that he could actually be on that hot streak. Hen, a very hot and cold player. Letwick, though, played significantly well yesterday, and he's there again in towards the top placements, and also with a couple elims to put himself in 4th place, but Kinzel too. And then the rest of this, I think, is kind of maybe a little different than what we might expect in towards the end of the day. You have Carrot, you had Decyptos, you had a Nas. I mean, there are some of these guys who have the potential to win for sure, but I don't know if that's quite it yet.
Yeah, I think at the top, I mean, obviously this is such a strong start. 20 points for Flowis. Now, he's off the line, but he needs to take that next step and turn this into a full-on sprint toward the end. Is this the momentum he needs to do this, though?
Yeah, I mean, for all the people over here, that's the same kind of question, right? And if you haven't seen the standings leaderboard before, the eliminations are the total overall over the 6 games we're playing, as well as the points. And that's a combination of the placement and elims these guys have. So Letchi got 5 points of placement that game in 22nd place, and 2 eliminations. That's 1 point each. But for these guys, they're kind of sitting at 30th place. They don't have to go for a top 25 anymore. No one has to go for top 50. Everyone here is focused on that win, and they're just slightly behind. Still, though, really hot off the gate.
Yeah, there's a lot of different things that people have to figure out on this first game. There are a lot of things and changes to what people might have been expecting. The plan, Zeke, you talked earlier about how these guys are all starting to do their research and whatnot. It shifts a little bit in grand finals. People start to make decisions and play with the mind a little bit of each other to, you know, force things that you might not be comfortable with.
A lot of that is going to dictate that drop spot, right? And how that could, I mean, we're talking about 100 of the very best in the world. If I'm going somewhere and my peer is going somewhere that I'm used to playing with and against, that is going to dictate my play and theirs.
I mean, it always starts from the early game, right? Just in general, the entire tournament, from game number 1, your mentality is set in if you do well, if you do bad, and now everyone has different expectations. If you're like Flowis, you're at the top spot. You guys mentioned it. Now it's a game of endurance, of holding it and not faltering when things go bad.
And in the grand finals, we have seen tournament after tournament. Being uncontested increases your chances of winning tournaments by tenfold, if not more than that. So being uncontested means you have nobody landing with you. You might be familiar with landing in a hot spot. You don't want to be doing that in grand finals or in set lobbies at all.
Yeah, the opposite of that is contested when someone is there. And Mr. Savage and Noah Riley are side by side at the yacht on the northern side of the map. 2 other big names all the way at Slippery Swamp, Kiriachi and then Benji Fishy.
Noah Riley was not supposed to go to the yacht with Mr. Savage. Mr. Savage had thought that he had done enough to force nobody to land with him throughout the heats. But you know what changes now for Benji is that Noah was going to be landing in the same main building. And of course, Noah did not want to do that challenge. One of the best players in the world at Offspawn Fighting did not want to challenge Benji whatsoever. He'll leave what success he had throughout the qualifiers to end up going against Mr. Savage?
I mean, now it's going to be even harder, I think, for Noah Riley all the way up at the yacht. For Benji, even freer. But how did that look in game number 1, right? We're talking about these names, and we missed one of the biggest ones from the first game, Flois, who ended up getting the Shockwave loot. Didn't start with it, though. He was at the Orchard.
And a big difference from what we've seen for Flo is because usually it is the Shockwave loot that he's going for in the early game. That's why he got to this spot, but it doesn't matter. He'll grab it anyways, and he's even contested the Orchard. So all I said, Zeke, about being contested, reducing your chances of winning in grand finals kind of shifts when you see what Flois just did, and it doesn't matter where you land. You could always stumble across Kid's Shockwave launcher.
And this is kind of like talking about the quality of the players we're seeing, right? Like, yes, of course, we have mythic items to play around, but for someone like Flois, it's like if he's going to walk up and he's going to take a fight and eliminate you, and that loot's just going to be put in his hands, it's like, okay, I'm already good. I'm already at a 10. You're just giving me that loot and now making me an 11.
Yeah, and also to think about other people who usually have that opportunity to make it through. There was a lot of the big names. I mean, Janus fell off spawn, which you did not expect for him landing at Steamy Stacks with 2 players who play kind of passively in that. He got sniped. There was also a number of different people who fell in the mid game.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing and the number 1 word for all these players right now is momentum, right? Flois finding that Shockwave launcher gives them a bunch. Janus getting taken out, as Baller just mentioned stops
Who's
the
second
momentum.
guy?
Oh my god, I'm so stupid.
Guys,
31. I was watching it on Twitch.
Ready.
I'm watching the event right now.
Here of
And
the
I'm streaming.
Fortnite
Same.
Champion Series in Europe. See, the action continues. Sundown play.
I'm streaming, but I didn't stream the event because
Thank you so much, Zeke, Shio.
I mean, I streamed
and
the like the
I'm
middle
just
part
so
of it,
excited
like
to
work
see
for
because
A1.
I'm a personal fan, or like I'm a advocate for the fact that.
Oh my god, that was an epic match though. The match that just happened.
Really get an idea of
It's
how
pretty
the
epic.
board and how the lobbies are going to play after game 2, because particularly with solos, it's about
Could you pick Sweaty?
performance from one game
Who?
to the next and continue
No, I'm not clicking Sweaty.
really able to
Oh,
keep
is it your
that
friends?
going down in the second half.
And into the third as well. If you're able to
Guys, send your friends, Sweaty, whatever your name is.
Hold on, you really submit yourself at the top, you've got a chance in that fourth, fifth, and sixth game to really turn online. Benji, somebody who definitely needs to turn online, but Savage is going to go down to Noah Riley in the feed. So the contestant happened, and Savage unfortunately falling. Looks like Benji is trying to take down Kiriachi in the time being.
Yeah, Benji trying to set up one of those ambushes here on the side. You can see him trying to pick up
Don't
Kiriachi
kick
as he's
sloth.
going right for those slurp jugs. He is going to find the initial burst shots. They're opting not to use that sniper rifle and instead closing the gap on him as fast as possible. We'll see if he's able to get it. White tags coming through, using the tac shotgun and the high rate of fire to push through the box. And well done, Benji. We talked about the contestant over there.
Did they kick you?
0
Did
out
they
of 10
kick you?
for the effort. The Russian judge
it
doesn't
seems
even
like
give him
you
a
got
point.
kicked.
Benji
I don't
taking it
think
down
they
there.
kicked
That's
me.
2 elims. Right off of the start for him there.
Benji
You can
Fishy,
see the bottom left-hand corner,
RNG,
two
Benji
most
Fishy,
contested areas
Inspector,
are Rig and
on
Salty
the screen.
Springs, each with 5+ players right now. So a lot of space being pushed out, and it's interesting to see.
Bro, I'm gonna join a party, bro. Could you ready up?
Effectively,
Or I'll just make you part of it, then I can join it, yeah.
I hope this is enough.
I'm gonna make you part of this so I can join Party Royale.
Why 5 players
Why,
right
you
there,
gonna see
and I
if you
think
can
that's
join
what
Party
Phil
Royale?
agrees on. He's scared everybody
Uh-huh,
away.
while you're in it.
Holly Hedges.
I'm trying to join your Party Royale.
That path. I said, no, I'm just gonna go try my chance at Salty there.
It's not letting me, you have to come back to lobby. Or you can make me part there, then you can ready up while you're in Party Royale.
We know that. But, he does
But then
not
it's gonna
have
kick
Ocean's
me out of
Thursday
it.
hard in Ocean
I know, but
Island.
it'll only be like a minute.
Someone else
You're
is
going to only use
back
it.
in
Losing the
If
minute.
Wait a
he-
second, I've got an idea, because if it doesn't let you, then I've got another idea. But just join, just join this party, please. Sorry guys, but like, let me just.
Pressure is,
Okay, there we
that he's
go.
keeping up is trying to keep this player from going any higher, and it's Smudge just trying to get away. He's got a little sliver of HP, but Mongo gonna get in the box and do that Mongo classic and get the elimination.
Hello. Okay, keep on joining and leaving again,
resolve that
because it
fight right away,
sometimes
'cause
says,
even
like,
picking that up with
when
the
you
additional
do that
match
stuff.
drop, now only has 52 materials, and while he is in the zone,
You
since
can
it
watch
did
the
hold
stream,
towards
it's
that
just
south
called
side,
live
he's going
event,
to
I
need
don't
to
know
find it,
why.
and with so many other
If
players
you want to,
around
you
this
just
area, it's gonna
spam
be
join
really
party,
hard
leave party,
to
join
max out
party, leave
quickly, but
party
now
until it
let's
works.
hop on board with our match
Sometimes
number 1 winner.
works.
As you can see, the format in the right-hand side, each elimination being worth a point. You can see once you get into that top 10, you'll have
It's
8
called live
placement
event.
points going
Key
through,
and
all the way up to
KYA
14
Vault
for
26.
first. Then you can
If you
see
get it.
11 through 15th is 7, 16
Yeah, it's
through
called live
20th
event.
is 6.
Well,
the
if you
intervals
can
are
find my
5,
channel,
the
then
intervals
it'll
are
come
10,
up.
and of course,
But if you
get
just
that
search
first
live
placement
event,
point
then
back,
it's
and the
probably
first
not going to come
25
up.
players have gone down, so still plenty of players who need to drop
KYAN
here,
426.
which generally is
It's
a
on
little slower
YouTube,
from
not
you.
Twitch.
You'll
I have
typically
Twitch.
see a little more aggression going on.
So
However, as you get
KYAN
further and further on into
426.
tournaments, the stakes and the players become that much more difficult to fight against, and it's really hard
Tell
to
me if you need
confidently
the name
take
again.
an early fight, as we have Rax and the Costa Rican Sebi in a battle over here.
Ooh, and Rax on the back foot already. Now, this is that weather station just above Caddy. A semi going in. The shots are going to
It's
go through. He's gonna get
KYAN
the initial damage, and he's going to
426.
follow up with the AR. The crouch spam, and it's going to pay off for him. The elimination comes through.
426
But
is the
now the
numbers.
question posed for Sebi is, can he go get its loot? Can he go get the Shockwave launcher and that charged shotgun? Or will he settle for some of the Volt loot?
And generally, that's the goal. It's to go through, get whatever you can from the weather station, resolve a fight there, and then head down and hopefully pick up the remnants of whatever happened at Caddy Corner. But now we're going to swing on over to Authority, where we have Letwick. We're in match number 1. He was able to steal away that mythic glider grapple gun and just kind of rotate out. But now, match number 2, you can see Hardfind over on the side, and Hardfind looking to set up a trap and a bait. And we've seen this before a number of times, particularly around that vault area, where there are some areas you can't build. Players look to have just an immediate drop, but Letwick is set up really well in
Live
terms of his
stream.
close quarters combat. Just having that
Why
epic
did I call it live
SMG
stream?
as
It's the
well as
worst
the
name
tactical
ever.
shotgun and a legendary pistol means he has 3 really high rate of fire weapons that give him plenty of abilities to just spam and pressure Hardfind, who's going to be looking for an ambush here in a second. But right now, both players just farming up.
And it seems like they're respecting each other's areas of this Authority. They kind of know, hey, he's going to be over here. I can tell by how he's looted. I know Letwick's going to be in this side because I know how he looted from Hardfind's perspective. But what concerning about this is the players that are around. Carrot is there.
Have
as
you
well.
searched
got two
up
other players on the side.
KYAN
And Letwick is playing
426?
this very well. He's hitting some things and then he's standing still. Because that's how the henchmen act. They walk around. Sometimes they'll hit stuff that's in their way, and then they'll stand still as you see one moving there. On the other side, we've got Wolfies, who's in a fight against some Marauders.
Not 46,
Hopefully he's able to get out of
426.
those. The Marauders are very, very potent. They shoot you, they throw things at you, and they just will try to eliminate you at all costs. And they've got very, very good aim, especially with that hunting rifle there in the inventory of the Deadeye Marauder. Wolfies is pretty low, but he's got Ardent pretty low as well, 150 HP. Now the Marauders are coming in here. The third party this fight. Sometimes the third party does not always have to be an actual player. It can be the AI. This is really good for Wolfies. He's allowing the Marauders to go after this player and go after him for him and get the initial damage. But if he goes in, he's got to be careful. He can't look to go in right away with all these Marauders around. If he doesn't do any damage to him, they're going to be very, very, very hard to build through and walk through. As you see, the builds are going to get broken. This is bad for Wolfies. He needs to get rid of the Marauders. The shots are coming in, down to 11 HP. He's only got 2 builds remaining. Launchpad placed. He can't build anymore. Got a player right there in front of him. Sniper shot going to come out, and it does. But he goes down to a Marauder.
Vato getting picked off there, but the Marauders catching Wolfies out.
really just
No
wanna
builds,
leave,
no
but I
natural
don't.
cover nearby. Ardent soaking most of the aggression. Him opting to go down. Ardent will clean up all of that. So good heads up plays by Wolfies to pick up the snipe, but the Marauders ultimately enacting their revenge there. And it can be so difficult when you get caught out by them, particularly in the open. The builds that will target those and will try and take them out. You're definitely able to kind of ditch them and get rid of aggro when you're around some of the more natural cover on the map, those houses, the bridges, and the stuff that are nearby. But Vato not going to be happy about that. Was trying to get a little bit of a third-party tag there, and Wolfie's punishing him right before he goes down. He says, hey, if I'm going down, you're coming down with me, and will also deny a key elimination point that could have gone over to Ardent. So ultimately, he's going to be upset his game is over, but at least he was able to pick up a little bit. Is now back on board here with Flois, and as we can see, he's used to fast starts, placing first with 5 elims in game 1 of Heats, as well. So let's see if he can turn this confidence into something more, as he is over on the northeast side of the zone with plenty of players around him. However, he has priority on the rotation, but not a ton of materials to really do it. You don't want to be forced to burn those metal and the brick here. We refer to those as the hard materials, because once they get built up, they provide that much more defense for you. However, just they're so much harder to get naturally as you move through the map that Flo is finding Cammy there, and you can see immediately he's going to head over there because he's like, hey, I need those mats. I need those refreshers. When we talk about refresher in the term, this is it, because that's going to be refreshing for him.
What a shot and a heads-up play by Flores. He desperately needed that, as well as his ammo was pretty low, too. At least 74 AR. That's not enough going into an in-game competitive Fortnite game. You definitely want to have a little bit more like Noah Riley here. Again, takes off Mr. Savage and now has the loot to show for it. The Yacht coming in clutch with this loot. He's got this player down, though, with those tags, but the big shield's going to be popped there. Now Noah has to be careful. He wants to go aggressive. His instinct is to push in with that crash pad and get the aggressive play, but that player back up to full HP. He's got to be careful. Shots go through the edit. Not going to connect on the shots there. Noah over the top. Shots come through. A 71 tag there for Noah, and now he's going in. Crash pad in. It doesn't matter, though. The crash pad is actually going to send him away. He's got to keep the pressure up to keep this player from popping any shields, and he's got the player back and forth, up and down, up and down. He's got the crash pad. He's going in. Shots are going to come through. The player puts the stare over the top of his head, and another good tag there. Noah's not able to find him. Noah's not able to finish him off. This player continuously layer changing, going up and down in between the builds, and Hydro is just trying to run for their life.
Hydro trying to put as much distance as possible, and unfortunately going to go down there. Good job for Noah Riley on the chase. We talk about how important it is to resolve fights, particularly because you don't want that opponent burning those resources, because when you do take them down, they'll drop them there, and you want to get as much as possible. You can see Noah picking up all of the minis there. He's back up to 6. Good job. Still has 4 crash pads. And one thing you'll note in particular when you're looking at these mid-game fights and what you should be keeping an eye on. Anytime a player has crash pads, that will enable them to push into boxes. You've seen it in 2 different ways, both from the top down, where they throw it against one of those cones because it lets them fall in. And then a perfect example, thank you, Ross Orange, for showing it right there, winning the fight against Hardfind very closely with 6 HP. That's the horizontal crash pad, where you line yourself up on the corner of the walls, you throw it against that corner, and it'll end up landing right behind you, and it pushes you forward into the box, but it won't affect the other player. So it allows you to line up your shot ahead of time, and most times it'll also put you behind them, so they're not able to play defensively, as Orange trying to play defensively here, but Bafo just comes in and says, hey, you didn't have enough time to reset and get your shields up. I will take all that loot. Thank you very much.
And that's the dangers of taking a mid-game fight, is that if you take any damage, you're going to get third-party. Players are going to recognize that shield crack sound, and they're going to move in. But on the other hand, look at Lewick. He took that fight, got out, and now is on the move. But Carrot is setting up an ambush, and the shots coming through. Lewick has been cracked. Look at the box separation that he just did there from Carrot. Going to time to possum, and he's the stair with the top is not his. He does get a nice layer change coming out and above, but he doesn't have enough time to pop the big shield. He's just looking to try to pop another mini, and he does get it off. And now he's looking for a shot. He needs to put the pressure back onto Carrot, because if not, then he's just going to keep running around, and Carrot's finally going to be able to get a shot on him. And Carrot decides, you know what? Not worth my time, not worth my materials, not worth my HP. I'm going to disengage.
I'm 50-50 on that. It felt like if Carrot had kind of kept pressing, he might have been able to pick up Letwick, particularly because, look at Letwick there, only 20 total builds coming out, but that also means if you are able to take him down, you're not going to necessarily get that much back. You'd only get the 35 total, and it's really not going to be that beneficial unless you're able to rotate cleanly off of it. Both have the crash pads, but now you can see fight going on here between Diablo and NXS Z-Andy. Z-Andy on the back foot here, and Diablo trying to push forward. Somebody we've seen had the capability of playing aggressively. He is above that Storm Surge threshold, so just trying to hunt this player and doing a good job of keeping Z-Andy on the back foot. Does get the cone replaced, owns both, edits back under. Z-Andy able to replace that stay there, so Diablo just going to reset for a second, make sure he's still back up at near that 100-100 threshold, and then Z-Andy going to go down, so good job making sure he picked that one up. Z-Andy was below that Storm Surge threshold. Diablo will see that coming through. The Storm Surge will take that over. So that's what we talk about right now. You can see on the right-hand side, Diablo is currently 130 damage above. Zandy was below, which means he takes that 25 damage every 10 seconds. And it also signals to Diablo, hey, I can just tag this guy up and then wait, because any damage he does for to that player, as long as they go down within a minute, he will still get credit for that elimination. He will still get the point. Then he can go over and safely pick up that loot.
That is another aspect of competitive Fortnite that everyone has to think about.
I might
Fortnite,
stop the
it
stream.
plays a factor into so many of these players' games. Sometimes they forget about it because they're pumping, they're rolling, they got their mats, they got their ammo, they got their builds, they're in zone, and then they're like, wait, I didn't tag anybody this game. I got to look for tags. Frenzy Fishy on the other side above, and a good amount above. If you're about 100 to 150 above, you're looking at a good spot. As shots come through, he's going to take advantage and find swaps with one AR shot. That is what you needed. We saw Thomas H. do that in the first game. Just find any sort of elimination that you can, far away or up close. Don't even have to risk yourself getting tagged up for it. Beautiful elimination.
Yeah, but you notice how he's doing that behind a cone and editing a single wall. That's to avoid all of those hunting rifle headshots that we've seen come out time and time again. You don't want to get a game ender looking for some of those tags to make sure you're safe.
I'm going to make a video maybe later when I've got a bit more friend requests of me accepting all my friend requests.
Not with the intention of actually trying to eliminate the opponent, but just doing some damage so you're not threatened by the Storm Surge, as Flois ends Froggy and puts a prime example of why you need
video, like maybe
in a
today or
window
tomorrow,
and limit
of
the
me
number of
accepting all
angles
of
you
my friend
have, because
requests.
so many of these top level players will be carrying those weapons, particularly in EU, that is known
So
for
I've
their
got
snipes and
almost
hitting their
20
shots.
right
Well
now.
done from the game
I got
number one
15
winner, who's
actually.
continuing to roll with the momentum here.
What?
Boxed up next to Ardit, passive over the side, as we're transitioning now into that mid-game kind of
Roddy.
territory, as players are starting to get closer and looking for priority in terms of zone number
Right.
4.
What an elimination.
Yeah,
He
can I hear you?
needed it too. He only had 2 hunting rifle shots. That first shot needed to hit. He didn't really have a chance to follow up if it didn't. Very heads up play by Flois. First place, taking down second place. That is, hey, that's pretty good for your mentality. Even if he goes down here and be like, hey, I took out my competition, so I know I'm pretty secure there. But we're still pretty early on into the game, so you can't really do much with it.
And it's important to note when they stress during the top of show how every single interaction matters. Right there, Flois eliminating his direct competition right now, the player who is closest to him, who's able to pressure up. That means if he's able to build up a lead now, it's going to be that much more substantial, because effectively he's eliminated one of the players who can threaten him the most, as now we're on board here with ADN. We saw him have an amazing run yesterday, pushing in. Right there, you can see the Dorito edit being taken down, and that's such a good push. Fastroki was looking to set up a crash pad there with that edited cone in his box, but ADN dropped in and then occupied the space, stuck to the AR, and then just used the weapon to close it out. Well done getting a key pick there in a mid-circle.
And he desperately needed his mats were not looking good. Still are not looking good as well. So he's going to have to find another impact elimination along the way, as we're on board here with Ardit. Again, mats are not looking good. Now, there is a player's loot there in front of him that he more likely got the elim from. He's not actually prioritizing picking it up right now. It seems like he's just looking to build and then go for the loot. Mr. X is nearby. Benji's nearby as well. Artist in an awkward spot. We've got Scram in this game here as well. Handy, passive, slick. A lot of players still alive. 61. When we talk about Storm Surge, this is the threshold where it's 50. 11 players need to go down. Darda makes a heads-up play to get a box, and Crash Pad's going to come through, but that's bad for him. Unless he hits the shots come through, and he does. Maestro going to go down the aggressive play, not going to be rewarded, and Ardit will be rewarded for his passiveness.
Yeah, and you can see the reason why so many players are fighting right now, both that Storm Surge and trying to get priority. We talk about fourth zone. Look in the bottom right-hand corner. Everyone is looking to box up and stake their claim on as much real estate as possible for when that half in, half out reveals. You don't want to be sharing a spot next to somebody as you go to rotate, and they're looking to clear out the players nearby as Ardit picks up Flois there. So 1 and 2 are down. That's going to open up the leaderboard. Tons of players will have an opportunity to charge up. Eyes are now on Hen and whether or not he can kind of extend his lead out there, as Ardit also picks up Lechi. Mongrel getting scout there in a brilliant job, because he's now cleared out all the players on this tarp. In that next, the half in, half out, the one before moving, is pulling directly over to this cluster of players. So Tayson, Benji, Keelix, YZip, Mr. X will all be over there sharing the half in, half out with Ardit. They all have priority on everyone else who's rotating into the zone. So they're going to be fighting among themselves to make sure they're safe and not going to get ambushed, and then swap over to what Tayson's doing now and looking to catch the players, burning their rotation, burning launch pads and crash pads, trying to get into this zone.
And this is very lucky for Tayson because, again, express the amount of builds in the inventory. He only had 54. That is not where you want to be for this endgame. So he has to find an elimination to get to these moving zones effectively. He does have the 6 crash pads, but when you start to use those crash pads, you start wasting those builds as you box up, and he needs to find somebody. As shots come through, he's not going to be able to beam people out of the air just yet, as we do see Nebby unfortunately falling, but he did get that top 50 placement threshold, which is what a lot of people are playing that consistency. Hey, at least I went down inside of that. Tayson, however, is looking to get aggressive, and I believe that's on, I think this is Benji. I'm 97% sure Benji is right nearby. If Benji makes the wrong edit, he goes into a box that's not his. Tayson is going to go aggressive. You see the big shoulder's going to be popped. Edit's going to come through. No crash pad in. Shots coming through. Then Benji's going to go down. Tayson going to take him down.
You called that he was looking for it, waiting for Benji. He heard him trying to set up and get some space, knew he was pressured around the side. The horizontal crash pad entrance puts him behind Benji, cleans it up with the tactical shotgun, and well done. And Hen, the 3rd place player on the leaderboard before the last game, going on the high ground right now, has priority position with Enos and Mongrel just below him. Also Floki on the same ground, but we're going to hop on over to the Become Legends player. He's been playing so well recently, cleaning up the Cash Cup on his birthday. Had a phenomenal performance yesterday to also guarantee him spot here, and he has priority on this next zone. What that means is he's the closest to where the safe zone has to go past. So as it funnels and everyone else rotates, they have to go past Hen. You do not get to past Hen, and you notice he's built so much space around him, so he can't be shot at in return. All of these shots are completely safe, so anything he's able to convert on will turn into points for him here, as another placement point does take over. Now he's not shooting through that wall. That is just one of the graphical issues with the replay. He's picking up tags, but now you can see setting up a crash pad, going to use it to go on the rotation late. And he picked up a key elimination onto YZip there, as we have our top 35.
And it's such a key elimination because he gets Jules' glider gun, and now he's got free rotation everywhere. He could win this game based off that elimination. It was such an impact elimination, but he's being a little bit too greedy on that zone. He did get tagged up, but he's still good. Rotation coming in. We do see Safek going down, and rotation X Squeeze went down as well. So a lot of the big names are out of this game, but Han looking to keep his dream alive and take down one player who landed right on top of him. That was a very, very heads-up elimination onto Pablo, but he's not that healthy. He has those minis in his inventory, about 126 effective HP. He needs to find another one.
He needs to find the outside. He can't be in this cluster. It's really weird to take the grapple gun and then immediately go into the middle because you don't really have the ability to utilize it, and that's what we're looking for, getting towards the outside of the zone so he has more options there. Anas, teammate up on the high ground there, but this is the solos competition, just playing for the same org. You have Gamers Origin, Deceptos there on the middle as we tick over top 25. Another point going through. Anas running through the high ground. Reason still in the match, and you can see Deceptos picks up Ardit there as top 20 ticks over. Another point going through, and right as I say his name, Reason.
Really bad, so I've just ended the stream.